What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here with another video today. And today we're doing our Tennessee-NC State game preview and prediction. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me reach that goal of 1,400 subs by the end of September. Check out the description for links to our shop, podcast, website, Patreon page, and our College Football Roundup channel. Today we have a special guest on with us. We have Jason from the VFL show on with us. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, my friend. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have him on. Go ahead and let the viewers know where they can find your work at.
Well, first off, it's absolutely amazing to be here. Thank you so much for having me again. At the VFL show on Twitter or X, whatever everybody calls it nowadays, is where you can find me on social media. The VFL show is also on the 1796 Sports website. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Amazon. Pretty much anywhere you get your podcast, just type in the VFL show in the search bar.
All right, so you guys make sure you go check him out, and I'll leave his links down at the top of the description and pinned in the comments as well, so that way you guys can find it and check him out. So we got number 14, Tennessee, number 24, NC State, and they're going to be taking on each other. I believe in Charlotte is where this game's at. Bank of America Stadium. So this will be probably the biggest game of week 2, potentially. I guess Texas, Michigan, but I don't know. I feel like Michigan's a little overrated. But this is gonna be a good game. Still don't really know a whole lot about either one of these teams. It's only been one game. They didn't really face much competition. I guess NC State faced some competition in Western Carolina. So if that's how we're determining how good NC State is, they may be in for a long day. But, I mean, just both of these offenses going to be really solid. The question is the defenses. What are your thoughts on just this Tennessee offense and how they're going to match up against the NC State defense?
So I know it's funny you asked that. I know we're going to talk about keys here in a little bit, but that's definitely going to be talked about. NC State did a fantastic job in the transfer portal. Obviously getting, Grayson McCall and Justin Jolly, and they had Casey Conception. Obviously Tennessee is going to need to stop them defensively. One of the premier matchups in this game is going to be Tennessee's defense versus NC State's offense. That's where the game is. It's very possible, and we'll get into more of this later, where the game may be won or lost. Tennessee's defense looked good, but Chattanooga is Chattanooga. You know what I mean? Obviously there was a couple of guys held out. A lot of guys saw playing time for Tennessee. I feel their defense is upgraded. The defensive line for Tennessee is one of the better ones in college football. It's going to be. James Pierce only had 10 snaps, and they had a day. They had themselves a day. So that kind of tells you all you really need to know about that. The man is going to be fresh. He's going to be ready. Other guys on that defensive line are absolutely fantastic. The secondary is the one concern for me, and I think that you've got guys on that secondary that's an upgrade from what Tennessee has had. I think it's Josh Heupel's best team, and that's saying a lot coming off of 2022. So we'll see. Can't wait to see it. I'll be there. It is in Charlotte, and it's going to be a fantastic game.
Yep, I agree with you there. I think that when you look at that Tennessee defense, I think that they've really upgraded a lot. The D line is, like you said, one of the probably top 15 unit in the country. You look at the secondary, that was the weakness, particularly last year, and seems to be the weakness this year coming into the year, just with how solidified that D line was, but they made some upgrades. I think it's going to be tough sledding for both of these offenses early on. But I do think I do have this one turning into a bit of a shootout. So that leads us into our keys to the game. So what is your first key today for a Tennessee win?
First key to the game is obviously getting off to a great start. You talked about just now how it could be a slow start. I don't think that benefits Tennessee. When you talk about a team that's highly powered offensively, you're going to want, like, if I'm Josh Heupel, I want the ball first. If Tennessee wins the toss, I want the ball first. That's not normally how a lot of coaches do it, but I definitely want to kind of punch him in the mouth, so to speak, and get that, first touchdown, first points on the board out of the way. For Tennessee, it's going to be about, Nico Iamaleava not only playing the first half, it's about playing the entire game, over 300 yards passing in one half against Chattanooga. I look for a big day. Talking about guys like Brew McCoy being back, which I'm so glad to see him back. I was at the South Carolina game when he got hurt, and I hated it for him. I was really upset, and I'm glad he's back. Squirrel White, another guy who's going to be returning some kicks for Tennessee. You've got Chris Brazzell. You've got Dante Thornton Jr., who had an amazing game last week for Tennessee. So to kind of get back to your question, keys would be Tennessee offensively getting off to a good start, Tennessee defensively being able to hold what I feel like is going to be a different NC State team on Saturday than you saw against Western Carolina. I don't take stock in that. So the difference between, a lot of fans from one another in any fan base is the fact that you can't just think that you saw 4 quarters of football against Western Carolina in the opener. You can't think that that's just going to be the way it's going to go. I don't. And I know that a lot of other people don't either. You have to absolutely be ready for NC State's best shot. You're going to get it. So not only Tennessee offensively, but Tennessee defensively. And then finally, being able to put a team away. I think that Tennessee is going to be up 10 to 14 points in the second half. Do the Vols put this team away and show that they were different from last year? Now, an 8-win team in the regular season, and a 9-win team, obviously, after the bowl game, the Citrus Bowl win against Iowa last year. But Tennessee had a problem being able to finish teams when they were up and keep them away, keep their distance, and also letting leads get away from them. So offensively, defensively, and finishing the game, those are my 3 keys.
I like it. My 3 keys for NC State. I'm not an NC State fan, just to go along with the video since he's doing Tennessee. My 3 keys to the win for NC State is, number 1, establish a run game early against that defensive line. You want to get pushed. You don't want to be one-dimensional, and really help out the weaker part of Tennessee's defense, and let them know that you're throwing the ball because you can't run it. So I think, running the football, making them bring extra defenders in the box. I think the second key to the game is getting KC Concepcion out in space early in this one. I think, if you give him a jet sweep, whatever, get him out in space on the open field and let him run early and often in this game. Keep the defense on their toes and realizing that they're going to have to look out for him, because that will help elevate some of your other wide receivers, because that is the one weakness on this NC State team is the wide receivers. They have him. He's great, maybe the best in the ACC. But when you look at the other guys but after him, nothing that really scares you. So I think if you can draw all the attention onto him, that's going to help open things up for some other guys. And then defensively, it's really just limit explosive plays, and you're going to have to get pressure on the quarterback while only bringing 4. That's just what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to bring just the defensive line and get pressure on this Tennessee offensive line and just move guys. Because if you're having to bring, 5, 6 guys in the box to stop a run play, well, then Tennessee's going to kill you with play action. If you're having to bring linebackers on blitzes consistently, they're going to just start dumping it underneath you, right where the guys are coming from. So if you're NC State, you got to establish the run game early, get KC Concepcion out in space and in a roll fast from the start. I would give it to him the first 2 plays of the game, give him the football. And then the third key of the game, if you're NC State, is getting pressure and only bringing 4. I think if they can do those things, they'll be in pretty good shape to win this football game, or at least stay competitive and keep it down to the end. But I agree with you on this one. I think that you watched that game that NC State played last week, and obviously this could be how they play this week, but I don't see it. I'm not counting on it. I expect NC State to be a lot better of a team than what you saw Saturday. And I think that they'll show some of that today or this coming Saturday, that they'll play a lot better. So yeah, now moving on. What is your final score prediction for this game, as Tennessee is favored by 8 in the game with an over/under of 60.5?
I like the game to go over 60. The spread, so I mean, just to kind of a little backdrop on the offseason, the spread was about 3.5, depending on where you get your numbers, but it was like 3.5 to 4, and it's ballooned because I think, a lot of odds makers and those, and those Vegas guys, they think that because, NC State didn't play well, that, they're going to, get beat by more points than they were this offseason. I like Tennessee to win. I like them to win by at least 2 touchdowns. Somewhere in the range of maybe like 48-21. I mean, somewhere in that mid 40 to low 20 range, but 48-21 sounds strong to me. So I'll take the Vols to go 2-0.
I like it. I'm also taking Tennessee in this one. I just think that Tennessee is just the better team. I have them with a 10-point win. I have them winning 45-35. I think that this NC State offense just has, enough talent on it. You're not going to stop them from scoring a good amount of points. But at the same time, so does Tennessee's, and Tennessee's has more talent and will put up more points. And I just trust Tennessee's defense a little bit more than I trust NC State's defense. And to me, that was really the difference in the game. I think it'll be a close, competitive game in the first half, and then I think in the second half, once it starts, you'll start to see Tennessee start pulling away a little bit more in the second half. So that wraps it up. We both got a Tennessee win. It's going to be a good game for sure. 7:30 on ABC this Saturday. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, make sure you go check out Jason and his work. I'll have his links at the top of the description and pinned in the comment section. We appreciate everybody tuning in today.